Okay, so this is a video of me explaining the importance of the big three, which is the sun, the moon, and the ascendant in your chart. And this will probably be a little bit of a lengthy video. I don't know, because I can get long-winded, detailed, and philosophical. So let's get into it. We're going to start with the sun, the graha. I'm speaking in Vedic terms for any tropical people who are watching. What is a graha? G-R-A-H-A. Typically, the word graha is a word or phrase used to describe things that simply move and travel across the sky, because obviously the sun and the moon are not planets. The sun is a star and the moon is a moon. Everything else is planets, but for the sake of simplification, sometimes we just refer to the sun and moon as planets also, versus saying calling them something else. But the proper Vedic term, sidereal term for them, for all the planets and the sun and the moon and the north node and the south node, are grahas. So what is the sun? The sun is mainly identified as our soul. The sun can represent a lot of things: power, father, authority, government, and all that good stuff. But for the sake of this video and the point that I'm trying to convey, sun is a significator of the soul. It is known as a natural significator of the Atma Karga. Atma means soul, Karga means significator. The sun is the Atma Karga. It's a natural significator, an expression of one's soul. So wherever house, sign, and nakshatra the sun is in will show part of what your soul is here to do in this lifetime. It will show what is the assignment of that soul in this lifetime. And this gets colored and flavored even more depending on if the sun is conjunct another planet and or if the sun is aspected by another planet. So yeah, to repeat that, to get it fresh in your mind. If the sun is like, in the 7th house in Libra, in the nakshatra of Vishaka, well then we know that that person is going to have to deal with those type of things. I'm not sure if I feel like getting into a deep analytical explanation on this example, because it would take me some time to compute, and I want to say stuff that is actual factual. But that's sort of how you would interpret and look at a planet. That's how you interpret what is one of the things that your soul is supposed to do in this lifetime. It's going to do the things in relation to that house. It's going to do the things in relation to that planet. To that sign, and it's going to do the things in relation to that nakshatra. That is where your soul. One of the things that your soul will have an emphasis and focus on, and then that emphasis and focus can change if it's aspected by another planet or if it's conjunct another planet, and then it will change during different times of the year due to planetary transits transiting over that planet. Astrology is very multi-layered, but essentially, in a nutshell, to not get y'all too lost or confused, the sun is a significator of the soul, and where it's at shows you where is your soul's journey, where is its focus, and where its journey will begin in this lifetime. So, what is the moon? The moon is a luminary. Sun and moon, they're luminaries. And the moon can represent the mother, but more so it represents the mind and the emotions. The moon reflects the light of the sun. The moon doesn't produce its own light. The moon is associated with water and mirrors. You know why? Because water and mirrors, they also can show you a reflection of things. So in this case, one of the main purposes of the moon in the chart is for it to reflect the qualities of the soul. Because if sun is the soul, and we know that in the real world the moon reflects the light of the sun, then we know that astrologically in a birth chart, then the moon reflects how the soul will express itself. Now let me clarify it. So you might say, what? You confusing me. Jordan or Jordan's webcam, whatever y'all might call me or mine. So check this out. Let's say that, you know, you got a job. You work at a job, you work at a hospital, you work at McDonald's, whatever your job is. You're told at that job, this is your position, and you're supposed to do this job. And no matter what, and the person you work for, they tell you, I don't care how you get this job done. This is just the end result. You need to do this before you die, or you need to do this while you're living. Make an attempt to do this while you're living. And you're like, okay, but the moon is going to essentially show how you'll go about fulfilling the mission of the soul. So if your job is to work at some grocery store and to stock the aisles, and you know that you just need to, complete your amount of work within this time frame, you'll be like, okay. But the moon is going to show you how you might go about do it. Where you complain and say, oh, I hate this job. Oh, I feel so tired. Oh, I feel lazy. Oh, this is meaningless. The moon is going to show how you express your soul, So, like I said, the soul, where the sun is like, where you begin your mission, is an area of focus. And the moon will, animate. And the moon will animate and flavor and color how you'll express yourself while you're doing this role. It's almost like an actor. It's like you get several actors, and they all are qualified and can do a very good job playing this character, but they all want to play that character in a different way. That's like the sun and the moon in your birth chart. The sun is the role that you need to play, and the moon is like the actor that is going to uniquely fulfill that role in its own way. It's going to uniquely express that role in its own way. And in India and in Vedic sidereal astrology, the moon is of great importance, because if the moon is associated with the mind and the emotions, that's very significant. Let me explain it even more. Think about it. I know that for the most part, at least in tropical astrology, we give great emphasis for like your intelligence and your mind with Mercury. And you're right, Mercury does represent your intelligence. Mercury in Jupiter is your intelligence. But moon represents, just how you think and feel in general. When you're not trying to solve some problem in your life, and you're just normally just being you. That's you. That's your moon. So the moon is like one part of your brain. It's like one part of your mind. And if your brain in the real world controls your body, then that's sort of like the significance of the moon. The moon, if your psychology, your mental state, your emotions will dictate everything else. It'll dictate the actions of your body. So if you're feeling depressed, then that's going to have an effect on everything that you do. If you're feeling angry, happy, and excited, or whatever you might be feeling, whatever your mental state is, it will be reflected in the real world, which is very fitting of the moon, because the moon, natural quality is to reflect things. And if you're not good mentally, you're not going to perform well physically. So this is why the moon is just of great importance in Vedic sidereal astrology. Some people, some astrologers, but this is more so getting to the realm of Mahadashas, which I'll make a video on eventually after I do enough more research to my liking. But some people, when it comes to looking at transiting planets, or when a person is going through a planetary time period known as a Mahadasha, they usually take their moon, they usually take their natal moon sign or the natal moon sign of another person and make that the ascendant. So like, for example, let's say that you are you're a Leo ascendant in your birth chart, but your moon is in Taurus. So what some people might do to see how a specific transit is going to affect the person, or to see how a specific planetary time period is going to affect someone, they make the sign that their moon is in, and they make that the ascendant. So like I said, in this example, you're a Leo ascendant, but your moon is in Taurus. So for the sake of this example, because the moon is in Taurus, you'll make Taurus your ascendant, because that's where your moon is at. and you'll read your chart from that perspective. And when you look at your own chart or the chart of someone else from the perspective of your moon or their moon being in the ascendant, you're seeing how that person thinks and feels about every aspect and area of their life. So with you making your moon your ascendant and you look at the seventh house of relationships, depending on where the planets, where everything is depending on where everything is flip flopped around from making moon your ascendant, that is how you'll feel and experience relationships mentally. So like, if you're a Sagittarius ascendant, well, if your moon is in Sagittarius and you make moon your ascendant, naturally your seventh house will become Gemini, and that will tell you how you'll experience your romantic partners and encounters in general. So we know that in Vedic sidereal astrology, Jupiter and Moon, they don't really get along together. I mean, Jupiter and Mercury, they don't really get along too well because Jupiter, it rules Sagittarius and Mercury rules Gemini, and Mercury is associated with youth and maybe a little bit of immaturity. And like I said, Jupiter and Mercury, they just don't get along too well if you learn the mythological story. So we could say that for someone whose moon is in Sagittarius, they'll experience that their they'll experience for the most part that their relationships and romantic encounters will be of people who are either young or young-minded, immature, maybe have surface level conversations. They're probably very communicative, or their partners, or they might feel that their partners don't want to listen to them. Because with you being a Sagittarius moon, and if we look at your birth chart from the perspective of moon being an ascendant, you might naturally want to bestow wisdom and knowledge on a person that you're dating and being intimate with. But the person probably don't want to listen to your deep philosophical wisdom and knowledge, or they probably can't comprehend it or keep up with it. And that might cause some discord within your relationships. That's just one example of how to look at your chart from multiple different ascendants. You know, like I said, by looking at your birth chart from the perspective of the sun, like you make sun the ascendant, you'll see that will probably be how your soul it'll show, you know, probably the things that your soul will experience and go through in this life. It'll show the perspective of the things that your soul will have to go through and experience, short and simple. You make moon the ascendant in your chart, it'll show how you'll think, feel, and perceive all the things that are going on in your life. And like I said, the moon is very important because how you think and feel and perceive things can dictate your actions in the real world, can dictate your actions in the physical world. So from that perspective, this is why the sun and the moon is very important. Sun is the number one significator of your soul. Moon is like the number one significator of your mind and your emotions. And after that, you got the lagna, which is the ascendant, your rising sign. But in Vedic sidereal astrology, the term lagna is more commonly used. Lagna, Lagna. And what does the word lagna mean? Let me look at my notes real quick before I just spit it out. Lagna essentially means in Sanskrit coming together. Lagna is something that binds your soul to the body, because your birth chart, your rising sign, is depicted upon the moment that you were born, the exact time that you were born. And some people, you know, they draw and write down the time of the ascendant based upon various methods. Like maybe in India or some places, they believe that the proper and most accurate birth time is the moment that the child draws breath. Their first breath of air is the moment that they are that you should write down their birth time. Because when you learn the a little bit of Vedic mythology, which I explain a little bit in the Swati Nakshatra, which is the second side of Libra. If you go through my nakshatras, there's this deity known as Vayu, who is a god of air or a wind god, and he's associated with prana. Prana means life, and I explained in that nakshatra video how important and crucial and vital air is, because without it, no one will live and no one can exist. You can't live without air. You can live without the other elements for a greater amount of time before you can live without air. You will have no air within a few minutes or moments. You're going to be on the ground fainting, and then you're going to accrue brain damage because your brain cells will start dying. So air is associated with life, and then it's water. So with air being synonymous with life, it is seen that when a person is born and they take that first breath of air, that is them making contact with the deity known as Vayu. That is their first moment making contact with life. So therefore, that is when you should write down and record the exact time of a person's birth for accurate analysis on their life astrologically. So that is how, essentially, that's the lagna, that's the rising sign. Lagna, like I said, means coming together. It's seen that from the lagna, from your rising sign, from your, ascendant, that is the exact moment when your soul became binded to the body. So that's what the lagna is. The lagna represents your physical existence. The first house represents your the first house represents your head, more so your forehead, this area above the eyebrows, which contains your brain. And it also overall in general represents the physical body, your health and vitality. And like I said, it in general represents the physical body. So when you look at someone's birth chart from the perspective of just their ascendant, and you're looking at how transits are going to affect them, and you're looking at how planetary mahadashas and time periods are going to affect them, and you just look at it from the perspective of just the ascendant, you're looking at what's going to happen to them physically. You're looking at how life is going to come to them and affect them in the outside world, in the physical world. When you look at transits and planetary time periods from the perspective of the moon, you're looking at how a person will mentally feel and perceive the events that is coming to them. And when you look at the perspective of planetary time periods, mahadashas, and transits from the perspective of making the sun the ascendant, you see how, what will the soul experience or go through during that transit, during that time period. And so yeah, sun represents the soul, moon represents the mind and the emotions, and your ascendant represents the body. So if you are someone who was born with maybe, your rising sign, your sun sign, and your moon sign, they're all together, they're all conjunct, well, then that shows that essentially in this lifetime, your mind, soul, and body, they're unified. They are all on the right path. They're all unified. They all going to be doing the same thing. Your soul is going to be on the same path. Your mind is going to be on the same path. And your body, the things that you will experience, will all be unified. But when your mind is in a different sign, and your soul is doing this, and your body is going to be going through this with a different ascendant, well, then that shows that naturally, you got multiple things that you got to accomplish in this lifetime. It shows that you got multiple things you got to accomplish and go through in this lifetime, and that you'll express the mission of your soul in unique different ways. You see, astrology is very vast and deep. We are all sort of born to accomplish various little karmas, various little tiny minute deeds. You can't look at someone's birth chart and just be like, well, this must be my destiny. This must be the only thing that I must do. No, there's multiple things that we must experience and go through in this lifetime. And you'll experience them in various different ways that can even be hard to pinpoint exactly for even the best of astrologers. But this is why the sun, moon, and ascendant is so important in your chart. I don't feel as though I need to repeat it no more. Sun is soul, how the soul will express itself. Moon is the mind, how you think and feel. The mind controls the body, so it's seen to be very important. And the ascendant, the rising sign, shows the things that it shows what you'll experience, how life will come to you. Like, for example, this is like how you really. This is how I learned that you really look at someone's life from an ascendant. This is how I learned how you can almost make general good predictions about someone's life just by knowing their birth chart, just by knowing their ascendant without even using the planets. You're probably thinking, what the hell is he talking about? I'm about to give you an example right now. So, let's say you're a Cancer ascendant. If you're a Cancer ascendant, then Cancer is your ascendant, right? And it represents the first house, like I said, it represents your forehead and the physical body. So what is so special about a Cancer ascendant? Well, this is one thing you'll see about Cancer ascendants in general in Vedic sidereal astrology. Well, look at their 10th house. If you're a Cancer ascendant, your 10th house is Aries. And Aries originally comes from the first house. So therefore, it's going to carry the sign is going to carry some of the significations of the house it originally rules. So wherever you have Aries at in your chart will show, in a sense, where your mind will be, where your head will be at. So for Cancer ascendant people, they could be very goal oriented. A Cancer ascendant person in general, they could be very goal oriented, and they can have a great focus on maybe wanting to establish a good career, or maybe establish a good way to figure out how they could be of service to the society, to the world. Because we know that cancers in general, stereotypically, they're very nurturing. So, but if you look at this 10th house, their 10th house is Aries. Aries will represent the head, the forehead. The forehead, this part of the body, it contains the brain, so it shows where your mind will be. It shows where you'll put yourself at, because Aries comes from the first house. It's the first zodiac sign. It's connected to the first house. So part of yourself will be focused towards the career if you are a Cancer ascendant, and maybe your focus could be towards maybe how you can maybe better the world and the society through maybe being of service through a good career. Another example, wherever your ascendant is, you'll express the energy and quality of that ascendant, of that first house, through almost every area of your chart. So another example for Cancer ascendant, if you are a Cancer ascendant, your 6th house is Sagittarius. Sagittarius originally rules the 9th house. And the 9th house is associated with the teachings of the father, gurus, academical, philosophical, religious places, laws, belief systems. It's connected to a very intellectual house. And what is the 6th house? The 6th house is a house that represents bills, debts, routines, and it also is associated with, according to KRS astrology, which I strongly believe and sort of seen for myself, prarabdha karma. Prarabdha karma essentially means actions that we must fulfill and experience in this lifetime that we cannot stop and or avoid. So typically, from his perspective and from what I have sort of seen myself, whatever sign, planet, and wherever that lord of that house is, of the 6th house is, that will be an area where you'll experience some trials and tribulations. You'll experience some pain, some obstacles wherever the 6th lord is. You'll experience some pain and obstacles wherever sign and planet is placed within the sixth house. So for a Cancer ascendant, with their sixth house being Sagittarius, you'll see in general for a Cancer ascendant, regardless of what planets they have in their chart, for in general, if you're a Cancer ascendant, you'll see that they might have problems with their father, or if the beliefs and teachings of their father or father-like figure. They might have issues and problems with teachers and gurus and mentors. They might have issues and problems with people trying to bestow wisdom and knowledge on them. Their father or teachers and academics could be a source of great financial debt to them. So a Cancer ascendant person, they'll have a lot of maybe issues or obstacles with things in relation to Sagittarius. And I can go on and on. I can do this for every ascendant, but I don't want to get you lost on my original point. My original point is, by looking things from the perspective of the ascendant, you see how life is coming at you. You see how life is affecting you. And I just use Cancer ascendant as an example. For you being a Cancer ascendant, you can have the issues with the teachers, with the fathers' belief systems, and with academics. Your focus could be towards maybe a career or whatever. Yeah, your focus could be towards maybe some type of career. What else? For a Cancer ascendant, they might have a long distance relationship with their youngest sibling, or they might maybe have almost a non-existent relationship with their younger sibling if they have one, because their 12th house is Gemini, and Gemini is connected to the third house, and the third house represents siblings and younger sibling and friends and written communication. So with Gemini being in the 12th house for a Cancer ascendant, you'll see that for a Cancer ascendant, they might have some 12th house themes in relation to their younger sibling. Or maybe whenever a Cancer ascendant person goes to a 12th house environment, a hospital, a jail, or they travels in a new environment or whatever, something with their younger sibling or friends happen, or their neighbors happen. And also, the third house for a Cancer ascendant is Virgo. Virgo is connected to the sixth house. So Virgo is going to bring some of that sixth house energy wherever it's placed in your chart. So you'll see that for a Cancer ascendant, a Cancer ascendant person might naturally just have some type of issues with their younger sibling, with their written communication, with their neighbors, or maybe their younger sibling could exhibit sixth house type qualities, where they could always be getting sick, where they might have an affinity for pets, where they might have an affinity for medicine, or where they are always, have like some strict routine or something. This is sort of like how you interpret and read, a birth chart without even no planets in it. Just picking at these little qualities of a chart without no planets will help greatly sharpen your tools. But essentially, like I said, without me getting too long-winded, your ascendant, looking at your life from the perspective of your ascendant, shows how life happens to you, what you're experiencing outside of your body, or what is coming to you, And from the sun, it shows the things your soul will go through and experience or have to deal with. And from the moon, it shows how you'll think and feel and perceive the things that are going on. But like I said, people gave great importance to the moon, because if the mind controls the body. You control the mind, you control the body. So those three things are very important, which is why they're so known as the big three and shit. And it's it's subjective to everyone, who they think is more important, the moon, the sun, or your ascendant. There really is no wrong answer, because they all are very important. But in my opinion, at least in the moment of me making this video, it might change. I typically, right now, find knowing someone's ascendant is the most important thing. Because simply by knowing the ascendant really lays down the foundation of your life. it lays down the foundation of your life. By knowing someone's ascendant, you will be able to give an accurate analysis about all the things that they'll experience through each and every area of their life. The planets will just give you, knowing the planets and the signs and the nutritures and the aspects will just tell you the varying degrees of the things that they'll experience. But by knowing that ascendant, you'll definitely be able to say that you will experience these type of things. You will go through these type of things. Now, the planets and the aspects will decide if you'll overcome those type of things. If you'll succumb to those type of things, will those type of things be good? Will those type of things be bad? Or it'll give you more detail on how they'll play out. But the ascendant lays the foundation for every area of your life and how you experience those things of your life. And I think I'm done talking in circles. Also, another bonus thing is that the planet with the highest degree in your birth chart in Vedic sidereal astrology, excluding Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto, is also a significator of the Atmakarga. See, Sun is the natural significator of your soul, but it's also seen that the planet with the highest degree in your chart also has just as greatest influence and importance as your Sun. Because it's typically seen that planets, the higher degree they are, the planet with the highest degree just represents the soul. And the planets, the higher in degree that they are, it shows the maturity of that planet. If a planet is in a very high degree of the zodiac sign that they're in, then it shows that that's sort of like an older and mature developed planet in the things in relation to that sign. And if the planet is in a lower degree in the sign that it's in, it just shows that that planet is still very young and naive and immature into the things that that sign is trying to teach them. So when you find your planet in your chart that is at the highest degree, it shows that that is the planet that is the most mature out of all your planets. And it can represent your soul, because the soul is stated to be something that was never born and has never died or can't die. It's something that just simply exists. It's something that simply just exists. It's something that is unextinguishable. And therefore, if something has never been born and something can never die, and it just simply has just been existing since the beginning of time, then it's typically something that's rather old and wise, which would be a great reflection of the planet with the highest degree in your chart. Something that is very old and mature. So, yeah. And also, you don't look at the North Node and South Node. You don't look at the Rahu and Ketu in your chart when it comes to deciding the Atmakarga for the most part. I'm trying to make sure I'm not missing nothing else. But also, like I said, the sun is not the only significator of your soul. As I just told you about the Atmakarga, the sun is not just the only significator of your destiny. Because you got many different things that represent your destiny. When you find out what planet in your chart or whatever signifies your dharma, which represents the righteous way that you're supposed to live and express yourself, that's very important in your chart. When you learn about your Rahu, which represents an area of focus in general that you'll be drawn to, or that you'll mess up a lot in this life, that's a karmic area of great importance. When you learn about your Ketu, your South Node Ketu, it represents your past life. It represents your accumulated past life experiences. It represents the skills you've accumulated from your past life and you bring it into this life. So your South Node Ketu is very important. When or if you learn about the destiny point, the Brigu Bindu destiny point in your birth chart, that will also show you part of your destiny, of something that you will experience or execute in this lifetime. So you can never look at one planet, you can never look at one piece of your chart and make that the truth. You can never make one piece of a picture, one piece of a truth, and make that the ultimate truth. No. You got multiple truths. You have multiple destinies. You have multiple things that you experience, which is why people say that we are all of the 12 zodiac signs. We are all of the planets. And it's because we are. One planet, one position doesn't fully represent you up and down. No. You might exude those qualities and traits the most, but We will all experience, we will all reflect all the qualities of the signs. We will all reflect all the qualities of the planets under different transits and time periods and planetary horrors, planetary hours of the day. It's just that some dominate one more than the others. But this is the end of my video when it comes to explain the significance and importance of the sun, moon, and ascendant. I hope it blew your mind for people who are sort of beginners and didn't know all this stuff and never had it explained this way. And I hope it gave clarity to people who, already knew some of this stuff. If you would like to book some type of consultation from me and me just interpreting your chart, go check out the About Me section on my YouTube channel and click the link to go book a little overall birth chart consultation review. Thank you for watching and see you whenever I make my next video.